I am super fucking tired. In short, I got food poisoning in the last 2, 3 days and my energy is extremely low, but I did promise to do at least one long form video every weekend. So here we are. It's Saturday morning, and yeah, I'm still fucking out of it, but I've got our three main points to talk about. So number one, food poisoning and the gratitude that came with it. Number two is a creative output as a reason to remember things. Or let's say creative outlet as a reason to remember things. And number three, life is beautiful. Linking back to that first point and drawing on some of my past experiences as well. So let's just get into the first part, food poisoning. This one, fortunately and unfortunately, I think it was by my own hands. I've been eating very clean. My girlfriend's overseas visiting family right now, so I've been eating my own meal prep. Like that's all I've been having. So I couldn't really figure out what exactly had happened. It just fucking suddenly hit me on Wednesday morning. I was going about fine. I had just finished up some like projects, some work related stuff, and I was feeling really good. On to the next chapter. And I believe, as an extra thought there, I believe that has potentially contributed to the lowering of my, I don't know if I want to call it immune system or like bodily defenses. I know there is a phenomena where when you are in a high stress, high demand environment and situation, your body is high on adrenaline, high on the hormones, and it's keeping you in a high performance, high tension state where you are fucking fending off all illnesses, all like pain and everything, holding it at bay so you can finish whatever mission task you need to do. But then as soon as you finish with that, as soon as it's completed or you've lost or you won, like any sort of conclusion, then everything hits you at once. Everything fucking slams you because then all the adrenaline wears off, or whatever hormones are at play. I think it's a lot more complex than that. But that is a repeated, recognizable like thing that happens to people. I think that was already happening to me because I felt super fucking tired Tuesday night leading up to Wednesday. And that's when a lot of my previous things got like done. Don't need to talk too much about that. But yeah, wrapped up this, like a certain chapter of my life. Very happy with it. But yeah, I think that was already setting me up to be, I think I was quite worked. I can barely even speak today. Quite overworked. I want to say overworked. I was quite under recovered. I wasn't even working that much. I was quite under recovered, quite highly strained. And then I was doing a lot of things, thinking a lot. And then it was finally wrapped up. And now, moving on to the actual food poisoning episode, I believe after thinking about it, it might have been undercooked chicken in my meal prep. Because everything else is not that suspect. Like it could have been the rice, but I put it in the fucking fridge. It hadn't been that long since I made the meal prep, only like 2 or 3 days. And my fridge is really cold. It's set to like 2 degrees Celsius. It couldn't have been anything else really. Everything else is routine, done exactly like I always do. The chicken was potentially the only one where, funnily enough, when I bit into it, I was like, wow, this is delicious. So juicy. But yeah, I microwaved it and everything after, when I was bringing out my meal prep to heat up again, reheat and eat. So I couldn't really tell. It didn't look, suspicious or anything. It was quite juicy, but it looked fully cooked through. I don't know. I've never done this to myself. I've only gotten food poisoning once in my life, and that was last year. But I was traveling in China and I was eating from a lot of different shops, like food vendors and everything. So that one sucked way more, and it lasted a lot longer. And I was also traveling into like high altitude regions. So, that one wasn't really in my control and also not that surprising. Like it's fucking bound to happen on an Asia trip sometime, right? But I had never done this to myself. So that was essentially the circumstance, and I was just hit with sudden, like, I won't go into the details, but you can basically guess what follows with food poisoning. And I've just been so fucking weak the last 2-3 days. Just been, like, best way to describe it, just hit by a truck. Um, couldn't and shouldn't really do anything. Mentally, I was pretty clear, but so fatigued. Muscle aches, fever. Thankfully, my fever, I don't think exceeded 39. I think at the peak was around 39. I didn't have a thermometer in my worst moments, so maybe it was higher, like 40. But I don't think it was significantly higher than 40. Otherwise, I would have needed hospital. I tried to go to urgent care, but then it was a fucking 2 or 3 hour wait. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna go home. If worst comes to worst, I'll just call the ambulance. I bought ambulance cover anyways. So I don't know if that was wise, but on the way back from urgent care, my fever broke. Like, I started sweating fucking balls. I was just profusely sweating and it got me through it. That was basically the whole food poisoning situation. Just fairly standard, like moderate, semi-severe food poisoning. Like, it was really, really bad, but for a very short amount of time. Acute, 2-3 days. I am so much better today, but just incredibly weak. But now, the main 4 pieces of gratitude that I wanted to talk about, something that I didn't expect to feel so grateful for, coming out of fucking food poisoning, is the complexity and fine balance of the human body. Just because in moments of crisis like this, in moments of suffering like this, I often, since 2022, where I had like some very scary health episodes, which I'll talk about in a bit later as well. I started realizing that there's a lot of gratitude to be found in these moments for what I do have normally, and also for, the systems that normally do work. And then only when they break, you think, oh my God, fuck. Like, I had been taking it for granted this whole time. Like when your microwave stops working. And then you get frustrated, but then you think, wait a second, this microwave has worked for the last 1,000 days in a row. Like, that's a miracle. It breaks now, yeah, sure, but it's worked for the last 1,118 days. No problem at all. Didn't even have to think about it. My car has not broken down in the last, fucking knock on wood, right? My car hasn't broken down ever. Fuck, I can barely organize my thoughts. This same logic kind of applied to my body when it does start malfunctioning, and also kind of by my own fault. It's a very weird detail. I was basically sitting on the toilet for the 7th time on my 2nd day or something of food poisoning. And I just, for whatever reason, just looked down at my own legs and my hands, and I was just like almost like X-ray vision, like as if I could see through my skin and into the blood vessels, the cells and everything. My heart rate was really high, like 100. Normally my resting heart rate is like 50, 53, 54 or whatever. Like today it was like 51. Over the first 2 days, it was like 100. 85 when I'm in my deepest, chillest sleep. Normally 100, 110. It was fucking ridiculous. And I was just imagining as if I could see through my hands, my legs, and into the bloodstream, into the cells, into the organs and everything. Obviously no organs in hands and feet, but you get the point. And like I had learned a bit about how, like, why the heart rate was going up is because of dehydration. So your blood volume gets lowered, but then your body still needs oxygen, which is carried by the blood. So then the heart has to pump more times per minute to push through the equivalent amount of oxygen in the blood. But because there's less blood, you just got to pump more. Right? When there's a lot of blood, a lot of very healthy oxygenated blood, then your heart needs to pump less. And if you have a good strong heart from exercise and everything, then it has to pump even less because it's got like high stroke volume or whatever it was called. So that's why the heart rate was high when it's normally low for me. I was just thinking about this shit and all the mechanisms that my body was automatically doing, like raising the fever, knowing when to like fucking force things out or keep things in, knowing when to turn up this signal and turn down that signal, speed up that thing to keep that thing in balance. I was like, holy fucking shit, I don't have to think about any of this. Everything is just running. What a immaculate, beautiful machine. Not perfect in the way of like objective perfection, but perfect in the way of, how do I even say this? It just felt magical. And look, I'm not even religious, but I kind of get why so many scientists who study so much into the body end up then into science and biology and physics, end up then still being like highly religious. Because how the fuck does this exist? How does this function? How is it built like this? Sure, evolution and everything. I'm quite convinced by, honestly, both sides of the argument. But it just feels like magic. And of course, I know advanced science always feels like magic. A fucking Bluetooth feels like magic to me. But yeah, it was just a moment of insane wonder and gratitude, like thankfulness and gratitude for my body fighting the fight for the problem that I caused myself, most likely. So yeah, that was incredibly interesting to experience. So gratitude for the complexity of my body, and I do apologize for how fucking fried this one is, this whole video. Number 2, kind of 2 and 3, is the main point here is I was so grateful for the amount of care around me, the amount of love in my life around me. Like friends, family, partner, of course, but she's in like overseas, so can't really help me as much, but of course emotional support, checking up on me. But the first 2 especially, like, let's start with my family. So I'm gonna break these into, that's why I said like second and third point. Family first and then friends second. Family, just knowing that my parents, you know, they just drop everything and suddenly try to take care of me. You know, they're busy, they're tired. They were also previously sick or had a, like discomforts and aches and all that. They just dropped everything, came over, picked me up, let me go sleep back at my family home, back in my old room. And it was heartwarming. It was such like a nice sensation. Obviously, I didn't like the fact that I was feeling like shit. You know, I would have liked to stay over in a different circumstance, but that was, yeah, heartwarming was the best way to describe it. Like, I was just flooded with care and love. They were giving me massages to make me feel better, to help me like release some of the bloating and the tension, and like trying to find medicines and checking if it's like suitable for me, making me like porridge and things that were safe for me to eat. Just everything, man. And yeah, it felt incredible. Like, that's one thing I am so lucky to have, that I will never ever take for granted, is the love and care of like a complete family, like 2 good parents. I understand now. Before, as a kid, I never really knew how special that was and how rare it was, unfortunately. I know a lot of people don't have that, and I in the past I definitely didn't understand how blessed I am in that sense. We're not perfect. So many things I disagree with them on, and so many issues and fucking arguments, and still for sure some ways that they fucked me up 100%. But then it's like they didn't have the time or the resources or the knowledge, like nobody talked about it, to go through therapy, to go through like self-work. They've already done so well for what they could have. They did the best that they could have with what they knew. If I was them at their time, I think I would have done better, but probably not by much. Probably not by much. And if I only knew what they knew at that time, then I don't know if I would have done better. Maybe I would have done even worse than they did. So immensely thankful for them. And even all of our problems and disagreements always stem out of a unshaken love for each other, which is expressed in ways that we disagree on or result in overreaching boundaries or saying things that hurt each other. But like the grounding foundation is always an unquestioned love and care, which may go overboard or go the wrong way or something. But it's never out of neglect or malice, which is, I want to make more videos on this about how to deepen connections with parents and how to make up or improve connections with parents. But one of the things that I want as a disclaimer for that, this is a massive tangent, but I think it is really important, is that I am only qualified, in my opinion, to be talking to people who believe that their connection, their family connection, is grounded from love and disagreements in perspective on love, rather than the issues stemming from neglect, where they don't care, or issues stemming from malice, where they actively try to harm you for whatever reason. That just sounds fucking ridiculous to me. But I know it does happen, unfortunately. So, fucking all of that shit aside, basically, main point, I felt so grateful that I had family to care for me as soon as I needed. They just dropped everything. I really just felt like a little kid again, being taken care of by mum and dad. And yeah, so grateful. Love them so much. That, honestly, I don't want to say, not to take them for granted, that was not surprising to me. Like that, I know happens because they've done it before. Of course, when I was younger, they've done it all the time, right? Never had to ask. Now, what fucking surprised me was the second part is my friends, or specifically one friend, because I didn't tell many people about this. But I'm so grateful for the reaction of this one particular friend. Leo, if you're fucking watching this, you are a real G. I don't know how else to say this. Like, I want to make it very clear. Firstly, I didn't tell many people about this because what the fuck's the point? It's food poisoning. And I know it was most likely by my own hand. And I know it's going to get better in like 2-3 days. And if not, I'll just go to the hospital or whatever. Like, what are my friends supposed to do anyways? Most of them live, some of them live kind of far away. Some of them are overseas. Like, what are they going to do? They're busy. Are they going to help me stop my diarrhea? Like, what the fuck? So I didn't expect them to do much. And the few that I did tell were checking up on me, sending messages. Perfectly reasonable, fine. That's all I expected and hoped for. And, that's fine. Like, no hard feelings. Perfectly normal reaction. Leo, on the other hand, when I called for him, firstly, circumstances allowed. Because one of my other friends I called for, he was like pretty far away and also like busy. Because my heart rate was really high and my fever was rising on the first day, I didn't think I could drive myself to the hospital or anything, but I didn't think it warranted an ambulance yet. So I called for help if any of my friends could come, just like watch over me for like an hour or two to see if I stabilize and get me some Panadol, like paracetamol. Leo just came right away, first of all. So super grateful for that reaction, which I was like, oh, wow, thank you so much, man. Brought me some medicine, brought me some paracetamol. And he stayed with me for like 3-4 hours, just watching over me. We watched some YouTube, Will Tennyson. I don't even know what the fuck happened. And he just stayed with me, didn't complain, didn't say anything, just played with my cats, and just watched over me for ages until my parents came and picked me up to go home. So obviously I was in this house, my own place right now. And then the next day, so that was, I asked for it. But the next day, unexpectedly, I've been at my parents already. My parents are taking care of me. Leo fucking shows up unannounced with some bone broth, some bananas, some apples. Like, he had done some research online and with ChatGPT to ask like what things can, specifically like food poisoning, what can they eat to help them get better. He brought some extra food like xiaolongbao, like soup dumplings for my family. He brought all of this food to bring to us to come so that we can have some food to eat and so that we can, chill together. That was extremely like heartwarming. That was a very touching moment for me because I was actually just about to leave to urgent care then with my dad. Literally walking out the door. Fucking like semi-peak fever. And then my friend's just coming out here, like walking towards my door with a bag full of food. And I was like, hey. And that was just the least expected sight. And I just felt like an insane amount of gratitude. Fuck, I feel like I'm almost tearing up, but dude, thank you so much, man. It's a small gesture, but it genuinely means a lot. It just feels like I'm so surrounded by love, and I know my other boys would have done so too if they were like around or in this area, but it was just like, I really respect these guys. And sometimes we're still different. We're a bit apart nowadays, but it's like in these times when it does matter. And again, it's not like they really can do much anyways. It's just going that extra mile, going above and beyond for a friend who is kind of in need, but already taken care of. Like, I didn't really need him. But he showed up anyways because he wanted to, because he was my friend. Like, yeah. Like, that's fucking incredible, man. Like, that's why I make these videos. For these type of connections, I wish everyone has connections like these. So yeah, we had dinner. Great day. So grateful for true love, true friendship, true care around me. Thank you to my parents. Thank you to Leo. And yeah, last point I wanted to say about the gratitude was I'm so grateful for my homes. Like this place, of course, we are renting, but this place with my partner, I love it so much because obviously I get to design it the way I want. It's quite spacious, quite nice. I love it so much. The fact that I can have my own space, I can have my cats with me, have my girlfriend with me. Returning here after being at my family home for like 2.5 days just felt amazing because this is truly my space now. But of course, I just felt so grateful that I did have a family home, and I still do have a family home, that they've still kept my room pretty much the way it is. Like, my dad sometimes uses it when he wants to, sleep super early and wake up super early and not disturb my mom. And now it's just full of his books and shit. But, it's like, I'm so grateful that I got my own room for the first time in my life when I was like 15 years old when we moved into that house. And that it's a very old, like a medium small sized house, for the four of us, me, my brother, my parents. Not a very spacious place. A lot of it's, I don't want to say run down. It's a very old home, and most of it was like renovated by ourselves. Like we tore down all the fucking old ass. The home's like from the 1960s or 70s or some shit. It looks super run down from the outside, and I kind of like that. It's almost a bit endearing. And yeah, massive tangent. My whole point is very rundown home, but I'm so grateful that that is my family home. I still have my space there, and that's a place where I had my own room, my own safe place, a place to call my own, a place where I built this version of me up. Yeah, just in these times of suffering is what causes me to reflect on the most gratitude. Like I do literally gratitude journaling every single day in my journal. I have done for the last, holy fuck, almost 4 years now. Almost every day. Last year was the worst. I barely did it. Probably like half the time. This year I've been doing it pretty much every single day. And yeah, I started doing it because of the difficulties that I faced in 2022. And yeah, in these times of suffering and times of like poor health, it's quite a good time to reflect because I'm fucking doing nothing anyways. Okay, so let's wrap up on that food poisoning and gratitude part. Holy shit, it's 27 minutes already. Let's quickly go through the other two things. So, creative outlets as a reason to remember things. This was a quick discussion with my community boys, Discord community, school community boys. And a couple of them were talking about taking a lot of notes from podcasts, videos, books, intellectual things that they're trying to learn from. They take a lot of notes, which is fantastic, but now the next step is to implement and take action more, to remember and implement more of it into their life, rather than just taking so many notes and not really, going back to it, reflecting on it and using it. I 100% related to that, and I gave some tips that helped me in the past, which I think could help them as well. And so I just wanted to share it because it did come to mind, which is essentially I fucking revealed it in the point already, but it's just having some kind of outlet which gives your brain a reason to remember and apply the things you learn. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but oftentimes a lot of us overthinking types tend to overdo the note-taking and the info hoarding almost, and not have enough output. All input processing, not enough output processing and literal action. So the brain, as I think of it in a very simplified way, it's like a hyper efficient machine. It's almost like the computer, right? Computers are basically shitty versions of our brains. It's clearing out the RAM in a way. All the random shit you have in your memory, if you don't use it, or your brain doesn't sense the urgency or the importance of the piece of information that you've stored in there, it's just going to clear it out. And then you go 3 days later, you go back and then you ask your brain, where the fuck did that piece of info go? Your brain says, well, shit, I didn't know you needed it. You never use this stuff. How was I supposed to know it was important? Because you never gave it a reason to keep it. You never gave it a reason to use it repeatedly and get solidified in your neural pathways, right? It's, neurons that fire together, wire together. You want to repeatedly run that same neural pathway until it gets physically thicker, more robust, more easy to access. And one way to do so and to increase the likelihood of that happening for the rest of your life, basically, is to have some clear reason, and that could be some kind of clear creative outlet for you to apply, or at least reprocess and interpret and then articulate the things that you have just taken notes on. So for me, something like this video is an exact example of that. But for me, something that's more consistent and more, how do I say, like intellectually, it's a bit more solid. I find writing to be more solid in that sense. So actually, the best outlet for me is my newsletter every week. It's low pressure. It's self-directed. It's every Sunday. So it's fucking called the Sunday Stack. So I can't publish it on a Monday. Right? So I have to do it every Sunday, non-negotiable. But that means I reduce the bar for everything else. Do I have to post it? Yes. No wiggle room allowed. No shortcuts. Nothing. No negotiation. But everything else about it is negotiable. However, because I know every fucking week Sunday Stack is coming up. That newsletter is coming up on Sunday, whether you like it or not. My brain is in the back of my mind, something knows I need to be collecting interesting pieces of insights, lessons, information, tips to then try to incorporate into my life or see if they're actually useful, or my lessons, my pains, my mistakes throughout the week, and then consolidate that into this newsletter, or consolidate my experiences in general into that newsletter. The brain now, because I've essentially conditioned it over, what is this, like 158 weeks, 156 weeks of this newsletter now. Like we're on number 155 last week, I think. So yeah, this tomorrow will be 156. My brain is so conditioned on this weekly cycle of gathering info and then putting it out onto the page. Sometimes it's a dog shit short ass newsletter because I've barely had any time. But my brain doesn't know that. It just knows it's grabbing information throughout the week so that I need to put this out. And again, I don't remember probably 90% of the things. But if I didn't do this, I probably don't remember 99% of the things. Like this helps me codify and apply and articulate and also compress the things that I've learnt into easily digestible segments for readers, but also for my future self to refer back to, because I've compressed it in a way that I and my audience can understand, because it is in my language and particular communication style, which my audience enjoys, mostly like friends and some other people, and at this point, and myself. What that means is, even if I forget now, if I revisit that compressed capsule version of knowledge, that parcel of information in the future, even if I've forgotten it, when I look back at it, I can so easily remember everything about it or all the major details because I've compressed it in a way that makes sense to me and the people around me. So that was one thing. Like if you have no reason to hold on to this information and these notes that you're taking, especially if you're taking a lot, then your brain's like, fucking get it out of here. I'm a hyper efficient machine. I don't have space for this stuff that you don't use. So yeah, that was one part of it. But the second part that I noticed as I was telling them about this is that actually, this is a Alex Hormozi quote again. The work works on you more than you work on it. The work works on you more than you work on it. He's talking about businesses. So running a business changes you and forces you to grow more than you are growing the business itself. Because even if the business collapses, but you've gained all the knowledge and all the skills now, you can go build a bigger business the next year, a better one. It's not about the business. It's about what the business is transforming you into, what kind of operator it is forcing you to become. And in this case, it's basically the same shit. I've taken so many fucking notes throughout the years. And, previously I didn't have enough outlets to really remember most of it. I might have done a bit better if I had the newsletter earlier, all these videos. But despite all that, the fact that I was the kind of guy who took all those notes made me capable of becoming the kind of guy now who does this and does try to get better. Because I was the guy trying to learn. I was the guy trying to understand. I was the guy trying to improve himself. The taking notes is kind of like working on the business. It's not even about the notes. It doesn't even matter if you don't remember 99% of them. It is the fact that you are trying to do this desperately. It is the fact that you are trying to improve yourself and are trying to learn. And I think that that has shaped me and will shape these guys into the guys who do improve anyways, even if they forget 98% of their notes. It doesn't really matter. The 2%, the good shit will stick anyways, and then they are the type of person to pay fucking attention. And that's the most important part. So let's wrap up on that note. The last point, life is beautiful. This one, very similar to the first part about gratitude, but it's just, I'm remembering that sensation from 2022. Basically, I had insane heart palpitation episodes for 8 to 10 hours a day for a whole week or 2 weeks, I think. In mid 2022, I was 90% sure I wasn't going to make it out. I've actually had probably a few, maybe 2 or 3 times in my life where I was pretty certain I wasn't going to make it. Won't get too much into the details, but basically that's why I started a lot of the gratitude journaling stuff. That's 2022 was also when I first found Lex Friedman's podcast, and where he first said, life is beautiful. Life itself is the ultimate gift. Everything else is just a bonus. Those lines stuck with me so much. That's when I started all the gratitude practices. And it's this time, this food poisoning episode, it wasn't nearly as bad as any of those previous instances. But some of the sensations I knew was very acute, very short term. It did remind me of those times. And it reminded me of those same feelings, those same worries, those same anxieties from a physiological response. I can't really help it. It was simply the body's anxious response. I know I'm not going to fucking die from chicken poisoning when I have access to such good healthcare over here. Fortunately. But the body doesn't care. My heart doesn't care. My hormones don't care. It's sending stress signals. So, and this is so funny. On the first night, massive tangent. First night, I could barely sleep. I don't know why. I was obsessed with solving math equations at night to give myself permission to sleep. I was so wired and so tired at the same time. But whatever. Basically, super high stress level. And throughout, when I did calm down, and then throughout the recovery process, from yesterday and today, I just keep feeling that glimpse of, wow, life is so beautiful, so painful, so exhilarating, so confusing, so scary, terrifying, so brutal, so cruel, but so beautiful. So full of love and joy and cheer and grace and surprise. I think I'll just leave it there. This was a good reminder on both the fragility and the robustness of human life, on the gratitude to not take things for granted, on the beauty of fucking human connections throughout all of it, on the fact that such deep, incredible connections can exist even for someone like me, who thought that this was impossible before, despite being surrounded by good people. And yeah, so I think I'll leave it there. Life is fucking beautiful. Life itself is the ultimate gift. Everything else is just a bonus. Do not be a little bitch. Do the respectful thing. I'll see you very soon. Oh my God.